You know, we're always told that perfection is the goal and failure is the enemy. But what if that whole idea is just a trap? In this explainer, we're going to tear down that myth and find out why learning to fail might just be your greatest asset.
This quote from a Reddit user really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? I mean, who hasn't felt that incredible pressure to succeed, to show only the flawless, perfect version of yourself? Today, we're going to explore where that pressure really comes from and why embracing the exact opposite, failure, is the real key to growing.
So let's start with the trap itself. We hear it all the time, right? That being a perfectionist is a good thing, like it's a badge of honor for anyone who wants to achieve something great. But is it really a sign of greatness?
Well, this idea gets baked into our culture really early on, especially in school. All these guidebooks for teachers and parents, they often point to perfectionism as a key trait of gifted students. And that creates this really powerful and honestly pretty damaging stereotype that to be brilliant, you have to be this kind of tortured perfectionist. That is the million-dollar question, right? Is there any actual scientific truth to this belief that's so widespread? Or have we been getting it all wrong this entire time?
All right, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at the actual science. And it turns out, perfectionism is a lot more complicated than we think. It's not just one thing. Okay, so here's the first big reveal from the research. Scientists split perfectionism into two completely different types. On one side, you have perfectionistic strivings, which is that healthy, positive drive. And on the other, you have perfectionistic concerns, which is all about the fear of messing up. They might sound related, but trust me, they are worlds apart. So let's break down that first one, perfectionistic strivings. This is the good stuff. It's adaptive. It's about setting high standards for yourself because you're genuinely motivated and you want to do well. This is the engine that drives achievement, and it's actually linked to things like feeling satisfied with your life. This is the healthy kind of perfectionism.
But then, you've got the flip side, perfectionistic concerns. This is the harmful, maladaptive version. This isn't driven by a desire to be great. It's driven by a deep fear of failing. And this is where all that nasty stuff comes in. Anxiety, procrastination, total burnout. This is the source of all the negative baggage we associate with the word perfectionist.
Okay, so now that we know there are two very different kinds of perfectionism, what happens when we go back and test that gifted student stereotype? Well, a massive meta-analysis did exactly that. They pooled together data from over 4,000 students to see what the real connection was.
And the results are pretty fascinating. Take a look here. On the left, you've got the harmful concerns. See how all those data points are just hovering around that zero line? That means there's basically no real difference between gifted students and everyone else. But now look to the right, at the healthy strivings. You see that? There's a small but definitely real positive bump. Gifted students do tend to set higher standards, but it's from a place of motivation, not fear.
And the study's conclusion could not be more clear. The researchers flat out state that the whole idea of gifted students being defined by this harmful, anxious perfectionism is a total myth. There's just no data to back it up. So that popular image we started with, officially debunked.
So, if this harmful perfectionism isn't some built-in traits of high achievers, then where on earth does all this pressure come from? Why do so many of us fall into that perfectionistic concerns trap?
Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is a powerful psychological tick we all have called social comparison bias. It's that fundamental, almost automatic, need to figure out our own worth by constantly looking at what other people are doing. And unfortunately, it's often a fast track to feeling dissatisfied.
And in our world today, this bias has been put on absolute steroids by social media. Think about it. We are constantly comparing our real, messy, behind-the-scenes lives with everyone else's perfectly polished, filtered, and curated highlight reels. It's just not a fair fight.
And the consequences of this are severe. This isn't just harmless scrolling. This constant comparison is linked to a whole host of really serious mental and physical health issues. I mean, just look at this list. This cycle is incredibly damaging.
So how do we break free? How do we get out of this trap? If the problem is perfectionism, fueled by comparison, then the escape route has to be something completely different. It's about flipping the entire script and learning to see the power in failure.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? Every single expert you admire, every hero you look up to, has a long history of failures that you've probably never even seen. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a critical, absolutely necessary part of the journey.
Now, let's be super clear here. This is not about lowering your standards or just giving up. It's about separating your effort from your ego. It's about learning to see failure not as some kind of final judgment, but as just another step on the path.
So here's a practical playbook for how to do that. The next time you fail at something, don't make it about you. Instead, treat it like a puzzle. Detach from that initial emotional sting and just get curious. Ask yourself, okay, what's the lesson here? What can I tweak for the next time? And then you try again.
And this is the core idea right here. This might be the most important takeaway. Every time you fail, you get a new piece of valuable information. Data about what doesn't work. Data about what you still need to learn. Failure is not a verdict on who you are. It's just data.
So, I'll leave you with this question. What would change for you, in your job, in your hobbies, in your life, if you just stopped chasing the illusion of perfection and instead you just focused on getting a little bit better every day? What could you achieve if you weren't so afraid to fail,